Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a moment that has left Russian military analysts stunned and global spectators scrambling to understand what just happened.
Ukraine has executed a move that completely caught Russia off guard, a strategic step that shifts the momentum and could reshape the war's future. At first, even experts refused to believe the reports.
Within hours, social media, military channels, and political commentators were talking about only one thing. Russia did not expect Ukraine to do this, and now the entire military balance has shifted
In a shocking direction. This started as a seemingly normal week in the war. Russia continued its artillery strikes, and Ukraine maintained its defensive posture across multiple fronts.
But everything changed when Ukraine launched a surprising, bold, and calculated strategy that no one predicted.
Even Russian state media had no immediate explanation.
Ukraine managed to execute a maneuver that has forced Russian generals to rethink their offensive plans, their defensive lines, and their ability to control key regions.
Moscow's own military commentators admitted that they were stunned. The truth is that Ukraine is no longer just reacting.
Ukraine is shaping the battlefield. What makes this situation more shocking is how quietly it happened.
For months, Russia believed it controlled the pace of escalation. They believed Ukraine had limited options and limited resources.
But Ukraine used Russia's assumptions as a weapon. The move was executed in near silence, without leaks, without early warnings, and without the usual international announcements.
Russian intelligence agencies failed to detect the preparations. That failure alone has created panic inside Russian military headquarters.
What Ukraine did was not just a one-day operation. It was the result of planning, coordination, and strategy.
Ukraine changed the rhythm of the war by targeting critical Russian vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities were hidden deep, protected by layered defenses, and believed to be untouchable.
That is exactly why Russia never expected Ukraine to strike there. It wasn't about the size of the attack.
It was about the message it sent. Ukraine can reach Russia's strongest defenses. It exposed the cracks in Moscow's military machine.
Suddenly, Russian commanders faced a terrifying realization. This was not just another Ukrainian attack.
This was a demonstration of capability. It proved that Russia's assumptions were wrong. It proved that Ukraine has evolved militarily and tactically.
And it proved that Russia is no longer safe to underestimate the Ukrainian forces. As news spread, Russian analysts grew nervous and defensive.
They tried to explain how this could have happened, but the explanations only revealed more weakness.
Ukraine used technology in a way Russia was not prepared for.
The combination of modern intelligence, precision strikes, and local tactical adjustments created a situation Russia did not know how to stop.
This reflects a deeper shift in the war. Ukraine has learned how Russia fights. Ukraine has adapted.
And when a smaller country learns to predict a larger power's moves, the larger power loses its advantage.
That is exactly what is happening today. One of the most astonishing reactions came from Russian officials themselves.
They tried to downplay the incident. They tried to deny it. But as evidence grew visible, the denials collapsed.
Russia was forced to admit the reality, and that is when the panic began. Because when a superpower admits something happened that they could not prevent, it sends a message to the world that their control is weakening.
Ukraine knew the psychological impact this move would have. It wasn't just about the physical results.
It was about telling Russia that they are vulnerable. It was about showing that Ukraine can shift the war at the moment of its choosing. Russia now must defend many more targets than before. They can no longer predict where the next strike will come from.
Every new day creates uncertainty for them. The unexpected Ukrainian move also exposed the limits of Russia's military infrastructure.
Russia has been trying to project an image of strength, stability, and readiness, but the Ukrainian strike revealed serious cracks.
Russian air defenses failed to stop it. Russian intelligence failed to detect it. Russian command structures failed to respond quickly.
That is why the shock was so powerful, and the world noticed. Western allies discussed it immediately.
Military analysts from Europe and the United States pointed out the strategic importance of this operation.
This attack signaled a major leap in Ukrainian capability. It also confirmed that Ukraine is no longer merely resisting.
Ukraine is counter-punching. This is the stage of the war where strategy matters more than size.
Russia has more troops and more equipment, but Ukraine has more adaptability, more precision, and more strategic thinking.
This is not the first time Russia has been surprised in this war, but this time felt different. This time, Russia was not just surprised by a military strike.
Russia was surprised by Ukraine's intelligence and coordination. Russia was surprised by Ukraine's ability to adapt and overcome limitations.
And Russia was surprised that Ukraine was bold enough to strike where they were not expected. Ukrainian officials made one powerful statement with this move: the war is not static.
The war is not predictable, and Ukraine still has the initiative when it chooses to take it. This moment is a warning to Russia. They can no longer assume victory is inevitable. They can no longer assume Ukraine is running out of options.
Ukraine still has the ability to turn the tide. The most dramatic reaction came from military commentators in Russia.
They began pointing fingers and demanding answers. They asked how this was possible when Russia has spent years preparing for such threats.
The truth is uncomfortable for them. Russia has underestimated Ukraine since day one. They believed the war would end quickly.
They believed Ukraine would collapse. They believed Western support would disappear. They believed the Ukrainian military would never reach a point where it could conduct an operation like this.
They were wrong on every point. Ukrainian supporters celebrated this moment as a major breakthrough.
Not because of the physical damage alone, but because of the psychological effect. This was a symbolic victory.
It proved that Ukraine still has the ability to surprise the world. It proved that Russia's military dominance is not as absolute as they want people to believe.
And it proved that the Ukrainian spirit is stronger than ever. Russia's shock turned into fear. Fear of what comes next.
Fear of losing control of key regions. Fear of losing support from their partners. Fear that Ukraine will strike again in a different place with even greater effect.
Russia now must rethink its defenses and redistribute resources. This weakens their offensive operations.
That gives Ukraine more room to maneuver. This unexpected move reveals something much larger. The war is entering a new phase.
Ukraine is becoming more unpredictable. Russia is becoming more defensive. The international community is watching closely.
Some countries see this as a sign that Ukraine could eventually push Russia back further. Others see it as a warning that the war might escalate even more dramatically.
Either way, one thing is clear. Ukraine forced Russia to react instead of lead. For Russia, losing control of the narrative is almost as damaging as losing territory.
Russia wants to control the conversation. Russia wants to show strength. But Ukraine proved that Russia can be embarrassed on the world stage.
This was a moment that will be remembered. It is the type of operation that appears in history books, not because of its size, but because of what it represented.
It represented resilience, intelligence, and strategic genius. This move has already changed the mood inside Ukraine.
Citizens feel renewed confidence. Soldiers feel renewed motivation.
and leaders feel renewed determination.
This operation sends a message not only outward but inward. It tells Ukrainians that they can continue the fight and that they can win key battles.
Morale is one of the most valuable weapons in war. Ukraine just gained more of it. Meanwhile, Russia is confronting something they hate: uncertainty. Their generals must reconsider their long-term strategy. Their political leaders must explain what happened.
Their military must upgrade their defenses. But all of this takes time, and time is something Russia does not have.
Every day that Ukraine grows stronger is a day Russia grows more worried, and the most important part is the future.
Ukraine's unexpected move is not an isolated event. It is a signal of what may come next. Ukraine is learning, improving, and adapting.
Russia may not be ready for the next surprise. The war has entered a new level of competition and tactics.
And this time, Ukraine is the one rewriting the rules. Russia never expected this, and that is why they are shocked.
Because the moment a powerful nation is surprised, the balance of power begins to shift.